What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Night Shift Podcast. It's your new host, Midnight Nocturnal. Nocturnal over there. You know what I'm saying? And this is just going to be a podcast where we do a bunch of retarded shit, but mostly talk. And just to make this perfectly clear, because I'm going to do this at the beginning of every podcast, just so we don't get eaten alive when we eventually become bigger, this is all opinions. Don't trip. It's all opinions. Yeah. It's all jokes.
We're not saying everything we're saying is facts.
We're not doctors. We're not professors. Just chill out. It's just our opinion. If you clicked on this, you're here for our opinion. Don't trip when you get it. Don't trip.
Exactly.
All right. So obviously, first episode. I mean, we've been planning this for a while, so it wasn't obvious that this was going to be the first episode. But you know, as we're recording this April 6th, I believe, or 7th. April 7th. So obviously we have to make this the first episode. Coronavirus, COVID-19, the Chinese flu, however you want to call it, the batshit soup, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're talking about today. We got a little list of topics to go off of, and should be it. First thing we want to go ahead and check is the Google Maps, the Google statistics. They update it constantly. So let's go ahead and count off exactly how many cases are in the minutes ago. Worldwide, there have been 1,300,063,365 cases. And there have been in fairness for that, there have been 292,000 recoveries, but there also have been 76,000 deaths.
Exactly. And
that's just worldwide. In the United States, where me and Darko live, 368,844 and 11,000 deaths.
Shit, we already beat Ebola.
Yeah, it's unfortunate stuff. It's funny that China, they were the ones who originated this, and fucking they're good now. They're chilling.
They're good, but they shut down. They shut down and they had drones cleaning the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Drones. I was like, shit, I know we got money. Where are drones at?
Where are drones at?
I'll stay in the house sanitized. But Americans, they're not taking this shit seriously. And that's what's really, I feel like the cases in the United States wouldn't be as bad as they happen. Like the white dude who's already planned my trip for spring break.
Oh my God. I saw that video. I want to punch her.
You're an idiot. You can't cancel a trip that you can take later.
Take it later. You're white and rich. Don't worry about it. Shit.
On top of that, you're alive, bro. You could lose your life because you want to go to the beach.
Yeah.
I don't care if you live in Kansas. What the hell? For the beach? You're not even going to Disney World. You're going to the beach. Sand and water, seaweed. And then people ass cracks. Come on, dude. You ain't going to see nothing that damn good to get fucking sick in bed and get shivers and shit.
Or even worse, this isn't really killing a whole lot of young people. Or at least it's not as bad for young people. I know, people originally thought, oh, you can't get it if you're not old. But now we're kind of realizing, okay, yeah, you can get it and you can't even die from it. But it's not likely if you're, 30, 40 or younger. But the thing is, it's not so much what it would do to a person who, gets the disease on them. It's what they'll bring it back home for. Can you imagine one of those guys brings it back home to, their aunt or their fucking parents with a condition and they just die from that because you wanted to go to the fucking beach. You wanted to go to the fucking beach.
You stupid motherfucker. You wiped out your aunt, uncle, mom, and cousin because you wanted to go to the beach.
Inconsiderate fucks.
It's inconsiderate, and nobody's thinking about the end factor. And that's my thing. I'm like, at the end of the day, you staying at home for 2 weeks versus you going to a beach, or you going to see your loved one, or you want to see your girlfriend, blah blah. You can't stay home from 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Stay in your house and unless you're going to the store and make sure when you go to the store you're covered up, you got gloves on or something. Just for a few minutes to get to the store, come back home. Y'all can't do that because y'all, I ain't gonna catch it. And then, and that's the misconception I feel that is a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm not gonna catch it. I'm like, shit. I know there's a chance, like all these people that are still working, we have a higher chance of catching it, just because our jobs are essential. Which again, what makes a job essential? We don't know.
As of April 6th, let's just let the podcast people know. As of April 6th, I am still working. My job is essential. I am a barista. Why is my job essential? Not at all. It's not essential at all.
Them baguettes, my nigga.
Fuck that.
They thirsty. They want their coffee in the morning. They trying to make it through, bro.
And they're still coming up to me, decaf mocha with a whippy smiley face on it. Like, fuck off. Fuck off. But anyway, and just going back a little bit onto the why people aren't taking it seriously. People, I don't think, understand the gravity of the situation. We're not only just for like people think, all right, when it's over, we'll be done with it. No, this is gonna shape like politics and society and culture for the next 10 years because 9/11. Nobody will disagree. 9/11 changed a decade of like America, and that was 3,000 deaths. We're talking like 11, 12,000, and just recently the United States was saying like, okay, we're reaching the peak. It doesn't mean that once we like pass this next 2 weeks, it'll just evaporate. No, it'll still be like probably maybe another 5,000, 10,000 deaths this week, next 2 weeks, and then maybe a few thousand lingering on. So we're talking like literally to make this is gonna be some weird Michael Bay shit, but this is gonna be like 6 9/11s. That's the amount of deaths we're talking about here, and nobody seems to be like understanding that, and people are just closing their eyes to it, and they're just waiting for it to hit them. Like that's the stupidest thing in the world. Like people always wait for it to affect them before they give a fuck.
And from what I read, they're talking about it's gonna end and then it's gonna come back later. So they're talking about okay, it's gonna end. It's gonna temporarily like slow down. It's not even gonna end. It probably won't end. It will just slow down to where like everybody's gonna be able to go out again.
Yeah.
It'll be real slow.
But then once people start fucking mingling again, it just go back up for a little bit.
Exactly. Because again, right now summer is coming up, and the coronavirus doesn't do good in heat. So like during the summer, everybody's gonna be going out because they're gonna be like, well, it's hot, the virus will die, blah blah blah. But then shit, you've been to Georgia, you know exactly what it gets like in November. That bitch is cold. It's raining.
Shit,
I'm
bro,
talking
don't
about
even.
skin to the bone, just sitting there like, hell nah, you gonna want me to go to work? Corona gonna be lingering. Y'all got me fucked up.
Fucking Castle wouldn't give me a scarf. But anyway.
He would give me a scarf.
But yeah, that's just this is gonna be a problem for like a year. Like no matter what people say, it's gonna be a problem for the rest of the year. Like you're gonna and probably for the next like 5 years until the vaccine comes out. Which then again, you have to figure out a way to give it to 300 million people. And most of these people are still fighting their flu shots because of autism.
And a lot of people don't even take vaccines, which
oh my
I can
God.
see why they wouldn't want
First
to take
person, I swear, first mom I see, like the COVID-19 vaccine will give my kid autism. They get in a backhand with the ring hand. I'm using the ring hand. Like,
It's
nah.
not even that. It's more the fact that you're literally putting your body through like, here's the virus. Come here. I'm gonna shoot the virus because it's not like they take a weakened form of the virus, or pretty much like the virus is weakened to the point where it won't kill you.
Yeah.
But and that's why a lot of people, like my aunt, she doesn't take flu shot and shit. I'm like, you're crazy. Take the flu shot. She's like, nah, they're making me sick, so I cannot be sick. I'm like, well, that's how your body gets used to it.
Yeah, like
your body gets used to fighting off the weaker form. So if you do catch it, it already knows how to fight those viruses already inside.
It's not magic. This is just how the body works. People don't understand
exactly.
that. Like that's how it works. You gotta fucking get infected by it and let your body figure, all right, this is how I'll fight it, and then you're good. And nobody ever gets sick off a fucking flu shot. Nobody will like, I got a flu because of the flu shot. Like
you don't get the deep flu, but you get like the sniffles, but you don't.
Oh come on, quit being a little bitch. It's just the sniffles. I'd rather the sniffles than a full-on flu.
Eat your soup, and you'll be all right. But I don't know. There's a lot of people that are against vaccines in the United States alone, and I feel like that's the only thing that's going to keep people from really recovering. Is they're going to be like, don't take flu shots. Why would I take this?
Oh my God.
But,
people are gonna
and again, those are going to be the people, and there's people out there purposely giving people corona Like, there's this
Oh,
video
I
of
saw that
this
shit.
dude, like, putting his fingers in his mouth and, like, rubbing them on everything. I was like, you people are sick. Like, I don't get people's minds sometimes. I'm like, that's not even a joke at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a news article of a girl in California who got it, and she said on her Insta that she was gonna go around giving it to people, and the police been trying to find her and they couldn't find her. So for all we know, she's out there fucking licking poles and shit. Like, and it's just retarded.
People are taking this as a joke, and I feel like that's what's really fucking up the United States. People are still going out, they're still partying. I got people at my job talking about, yeah, I'm going to my friend's house this weekend. I was like, what? I'll be in my house. Fuck away from me. Y'all bugging.
And that's just how people react to it, how government reacts to it. We'll touch on Trump a little bit, but I just want to formally note this. California began its official quarantine between, we're defining quarantine as when the government said, okay, stay at home. That's when you would say quarantine, because no government really calls it a quarantine, but that's what the news calls it, so it makes sense. California began theirs on March 19th, 2020.
Shit.
Georgia started
his fucking 3 days ago.
Yeah, 4 days ago officially. Today's April 7th, and it started April 3rd.
They were like, I guess we can crack down. And guess what? It's only in Atlanta and surrounding Atlanta. So I'm good. I'm under that. I'm not even in quarantine. That's crazy.
There's quite a difference between how red states and blue states handle this.
Because I'm telling you, people out here are so crazy. And you've been here. You know how they drive and you know how they act. They are crazy. They don't care. Until it affects them, they don't care. I'm talking about I have a girl who used to work with me. She was like, man, the food stamps are cheap right now. I ain't spending a drop of my cash. That's all they care about. That $1,200, $1,200 check that's coming in. They care about the food stamps being low, so they're getting a lot of food stamps. They ain't got to spend nothing. I'm like, so y'all don't care about being safe? Your kids, nothing? Nah, what? My kid's gonna be alright. My kid's like, yo.
And it's not even like, probably for like you're probably for like your coworker shit, but like I think $1,200 is for people who make less than $100,000 a year, which is probably most people. But like, and even that, like $1,200 is really not enough because they're expecting this to go on to like June, and for most of them, it's supposed to be for people who aren't working. Thank God it's for people who are working. Otherwise, I wouldn't get shit. I'm still doing 30 hours a week.
Dependents, they get, at least here, my friend was telling me, so you get the initial money, and then if you got dependents under you, for each one you get $500. So one of my friends has 2 dependents, so she's getting an extra $1,000 on top of that. So they're definitely doing stuff to try to
help. But
again, you gotta my mom's calling me. I'm gonna ignore it. You gotta be making you can't be making too much money. You can make $1 too much out of tax bracket and you're fucked. That's it. But that doesn't take the fact that now a lot of those people with a lot of more money have a higher living lifestyle. So and if they're not working and they're not getting paid, they're still gonna be losing money.
Yeah, you see.
So it's crazy.
Real quick side note: you see those fucking celebrity videos where like, all right, guys, stay strong, guys. We can make this together, and they're in their fucking mansion. We're doing this together. Like, fuck you.
You better be donating money. Y'all niggas rich. Don't
even.
Like, I've seen rich people donating, and I've seen them giving out money and masks and stuff like that. That's cool. But don't tell me to stay strong in my house when I'm paying all the bills, and you sitting at home, and you rich, you got an accountant doing all the work for you. You just sitting at home chilling out there.
Like you living outdoors in your house because you got that pool, you got that treadmill, you got that basketball court, you got every console, you got a chef. You like what? Like fuck off. First of all.
Chef lives in the house. You're good, dude.
Yeah, like
I don't know,
honestly,
people get, and a lot of people know that, but people get in the misconception that they're like, yeah, we're good, we're gonna be strong. I'm like, you're rich. Yeah, you're gonna be strong. You're
Shit.
sitting at home chilling. You probably got a basketball court in the back of your house.
Let's swap checking accounts and let's see who's good.
Exactly. Because don't let me swap checking accounts. I might be in Bora Bora somewhere, sitting up under the beach. Like, fuck it. If I catch corona
Bora
over here,
Bora, 0 cases. Let's go.
if I catch it over here, I'm gonna be chilling. Don't trip.
The heat will go. That's my hospital right there. The sandy beach, white hot, like 90 degrees. We're good. It'll go away. It'll work out. All right. But
speaking of basketball,
oh fuck me.
they ended the.
They ended the
They
season.
killed it.
They
hurt my feelings with that one,
Bro.
Oh.
I understand why, but like the thing is for the NBA, at least what I feel is that they moved a little bit too slowly to like prevent this because they were already talking like before. Because the first player who got it was a player named Rudy Gobert, and before him, they were already talking about like, all right, we got to play NBA games with nobody in the crowd, it's just the players and that's it, and just play that shit. And they were going to do that, but they were like debating, like, because some of the players were even like, no, we can't play without our fans. We gotta do this for the fans. I'm like using that as an argument, and I get that. Like, okay, fans are important. You gotta like,
to a pandemic.
Yeah, fight for your fans. But at the same time, this is a pandemic. That's why it shows just how like not seriously people are taking it. But in all fairness, I will say this is like March 11th, which is like way like a little bit before people were quarantining and shit. So I can understand that.
Right.
But by the time they were like, all right, next week we're gonna like start playing games of the crowds. The first NBA player got it, and that was it. And then immediately after.
It's crazy because he didn't even go to the stadium.
Yeah.
He stayed at the hotel and had it. And then Donovan Mitchell got it, which, damn, he's a good player, so that sucks. He got it. I was like, if that ain't good enough to shut it down, I don't know. Yep. It sucked, though, because them games were getting good. And
the playoffs, that's what hurts me. If there is, I am an astute, nihilist, atheist, fuck God in the ass kind of guy. But if there is one, let there be a playoffs. I'm gonna need the Lakers to win the chip because LeBron's too old. He's too old. This ain't fair. Kawhi's got all the time in the world. LeBron's too old. Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway. And then, once NBA fell, all the dominoes fell. I put the article there, but I'm not going to go through all the dates.
When NBA fell, you could see everything just right behind it. Like
NFL, MLB, golf, fucking swimming, all that shit just went down. I'm not going to go through the dates, but they all went one after another.
If you look, because I think Kevin Durant got it. Who else got it?
It was four of the Brooklyn Nets, Donovan Mitchell, I don't recall which other NBA players. And you know what's
but some of them are unnamed as well.
So because the Nets played the last game the Nets played was against the Lakers, and they tested the Lakers, but they never released the results. So I'm assuming at least one person must have had it because if the Jazz had like 3 of their players get it like that, and the Nets 4 of them got it, I have to assume at least one of the 15-man roster of the Lakers got it. I'm assuming one.
Yeah, they said.
If it was LeBron, we'd know. I'm not saying it'd be anybody like LeBron or AD, but I'm talking like maybe somebody.
It could be a bench player. We don't know. But they're unnamed. Well, at least where I looked at, it was unnamed. They had one Laker player, but unnamed. Yeah. And then the Lakers came out unscathed, really, if there's only one dude.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Because a lot of teams were like 4, 3. Again, you got 2 for Utah.
And that brings up to another point about the fact that like for the playoffs, people were saying like even if they did one, it wouldn't. People like in history and shit wouldn't like count it as well, and which I kind of have to agree a little bit, just for the fact that most players they don't live in this they really don't have like a house in the city that they play for. They rent out a condo or apartment, so they don't have the ability to practice. They legitimately do not have that ability. They just like treadmills and weights. But in a game like basketball, football, baseball, that's not really practicing. Like getting strong doesn't make you better at your sport. You gotta practice that shit. And so of course, players like LeBron and shit who live in their city and have all of those max million contracts, they got courts for days. But I'm not sure if you know the player in the Lakers called Alex Caruso. That dude literally said he only has a jump rope, a treadmill, and weights. That's all he has. No basketball court. He's got a basketball. That's it. He can practice his fucking handles. That's all he can do.
And his handles are good too.
Yeah, but
you you need a core.
So like even when they eventually resume the playoffs, they won't really be at their full form. So people are gonna be like, all right, well, you beat them, but only because they were rusty from this. And
exactly.
So for me, I would say
maybe if I don't know if they gave them like the only way I could really count it is if they got pretty much like, and not even a rerun, but like they had to have months of practice, minimum one.
Yeah,
I would really get in.
People were saying like, all right, well, most of the teams were already at like between like 55 to 60 games. People were saying like, all right, play 5 more regular season games, and shit, just to like warm up and get ready for that shit. But honestly, and this is like if the Lakers were ass, I wouldn't care about the season at all. But because the Lakers are good, I'm gonna go ahead and need like, even if the season ends and they don't do playoffs, I'm gonna need the NBA to just go ahead and mail me my ring because like I need this because like for Kobe, man, that's like the main storyline that hurts me is like Kobe Bryant died and the whole storyline was gonna be all right, LeBron gets one for his brother, and it fucking shut down. I'm gonna be so fucking sad.
Yeah, it's gonna be heartbreaking because he said it. He was like, "I'm gonna get this one for Kobe."
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's just.
Yeah, it was heart wrenching, dude. I remember when it came out, I was like, "Oh, that nigga crying."
I know. I am.
That man over there depressed, dude.
And some of my fucking coworkers are messing with me too. They know I watch that shit. It's like, yo, how was the game last night? I'm like, oh, fuck yourself. Fuck off.
Bruh, how was that game last night?
No. But anyway, moving a little bit forward to the next best topic.
Don't get started with these fucking masks.
Alright. The mask debate, at least our take on it. For me personally, this right here was a company issued mask. It's pretty thin, as you can tell. It's completely cloth. Let me make that clear. I mean, there's some clear plastic a little bit on the outside of it. Like you can feel it's like a little bit like plasticky, a little bit of a hard shell. But other than that, like on the inside, it's otherwise completely cloth. I could like stick this in my dishwasher and it'd be just fine. So protection wise, I wouldn't say this protects a whole lot.
Besides dust.
Yeah, but I would understand that. Like I wouldn't want them to have surgical masks and shit because everywhere, like no state is exempt. Everywhere they're lacking masks, and nurses and doctors are having to go in without gloves or masks, protective material, and shit. So I would rather this. If I could have this, but a nurse gets a real mask, I'd fine with that. I'm completely fine with that. That's fine because I don't really believe like you can really catch corona through the air other than somebody straight up sneezing in your direction and you just go like I don't understand. You're not like other than that.
And you're like.
You snort that shit like
a line of corona.
Yeah. But like if somebody with corona or is carrying the disease is just like happen to be breathing, that's just gonna just dissipate and not before it even gets to you anyway. Especially for the fact that since specifically me, I'm a barista. There's steam and fucking gas and shit flying everywhere. I got a wall of vapor around me at all times. I'm good. Like your shit ain't touching me. I'm gooch. Which
the good thing, like at least for me, the people at my job, I got all types of. I looked at this picture where it shows like the effectiveness of different masks. Like at the bottom, it's like paper and cloth masks. They cover dirt, but they don't really protect against viruses. And then of course at the top you got your medical mask, right? But I feel like medical masks should only be used in medical situations. Now, if you have some, just because you already had some, like my mom had some from like ages ago.
Yeah.
She's like, here, threw it at me. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, and so she makes me whenever I go out, I gotta have this mask on. Like, I cannot go anywhere without the mask on. If I'm at home or I'm outside of my house, like around my house, she don't mind. But like leaving the house, she'll like put that on.
Yeah, like
but,
obviously previously having it, of course, that's fine. And even if you just happen to be like really, really, really cautious, because it isn't impossible to get it like through your mouth and your nose by accidentally breathing somebody else's cough or sneeze. So if you're really cautious, yeah, fine. But like people who are going out and bulk buying this shit, That you're straight
bulk
ass.
buying toilet paper. Don't get me started on that. Cause
Oh my god.
I'm talking about they're acting. I'm talking about people here are not serious about it, but they're buying out toilet paper of all things.
Mhm.
Maybe hand sanitizer. I would get the food part. I get that, buying out meat or whatever. Vegans are chilling. Vegan and vegetarians chilling. They have no worries. Who's buying up vegetables right now? Nobody. I mean, I am, but nobody's buying vegetables. Everybody wants to buy all the meat. I'm like, okay, you're gonna buy up 20 years of meat that you're gonna lose because you're not gonna eat it.
That's just fucking done in like a
And
year.
then people like, they had a story about a guy he bought up all the medical gloves and masks and was selling them to hospitals.
That is retarded.
So you're gonna charge them, and I'm talking about high, like charge them high for something they're using to save lives. So then they ended up confiscating all this shit and arresting him. It's illegal. You can't even do that. But they didn't have any, so of course they were buying them, so they could take some to work with them and stuff like that. It's crazy though. Like people are trying to use a pandemic as a scam.
People would not like
some type of cash.
Yeah, like
I'm like,
that's a capitalism way, and especially in America. Like I don't think you would see that shit in like Spain or someplace. That's just America. That's the way it is. Like, all right, make a buck however you can, but like, and I can respect that on a non-pandemic level. But during a pandemic, like you making a buck is gonna straight up cost thousands of lives. Nah, you're an ass. And to be honest, and for as like that's the craziest thing. And we're gonna touch on Trump a little bit now. For the craziest thing about this is like for all the like. Trump's I don't give a fuck, I do what I want, you can't control me, I don't care what the media thinks, I don't care what my peers think, I do what I want, and I'm for the people, I can do whatever I want for the people. For all that bullshit, Trump has the power to say, alright companies, this is a pandemic, give us your shit, and we're not gonna pay you for it right now, we'll pay you for it after, but for right now, we need this. I'm sorry, we don't have time to be negotiating prices and that shit. We're just gonna take the shit and give it to the people who need it. He has that power to do it, and he's just not done it. And that's the craziest thing to me. Like, government should absolutely be seizing what they need. Take that shit. Hell, you want my toilet paper? You can have my toilet paper. Fuck it. Take it. I don't give a fuck. Like, people with COVID-19 need this shit, and the fact that Trump has been too pussy to do anything about it. Like, he's used this like power one time for one company. But everybody's like screaming at him, nah, use it for like take over the surgical mask businesses, take over the fucking equipment, like pay for it later, 100% pay for it later. But we do not have the time to be negotiating prices, especially for the fact that because we're in the pandemic and because we're low, all these companies are like charging ridiculous amounts of prices for it. And these prices aren't like, all right, the government pays for these prices. No, it's hospitals. Each individual like hospital company has to negotiate and outbid each other. While the time where they're spending this money trying to outbid their fucking fellow hospitals with fellow patients dying, they're like working their doctors and nurses overtime, and everything has gone to shit. It is just so retarded, so retarded.
Like, and I've said this before, the money ain't always worth it. It's going to work and busting overtime is great if it's worth it. It's not worth it. You got all these doctors in here busting their ass, risking their lives, and particularly getting the highest chance to catch it because they're around it without masks, without gloves. It doesn't matter if they're in these incubator suits or whatever. They still have a higher chance of catching it. All because you don't want to crack down and be like, hey, we need this. Go ahead and get that. That's all he needs to do. You shut down the shit. He shut down the election like it was nothing. I was going to win anyway. Go ahead, slow that down. I was like, wow, this man is ballsy. He was like, I was gonna win it anyway. I was like, so you can do that.
That is some big.
CDC. You can like,
oh my.
He can cut CDC and talk about, oh, the pandemic will heal itself. You know what I read? I read that his advisor told him months ago, hey, COVID-19 gonna fuck us up. He's like, nah, we're still gonna cut CDC. Still cut it. Like, this man knew. But like I said, from gate, he said, oh, I'm for the people. And you can see all the racist people coming out like,
Oh yeah, that's our guy.
Hell yeah!
He says the word fuck on stage. That means he's with us. Like, oh
Exactly.
my fuck.
Until he cut your food stamps, and then you weren't liking all that. Until he started fucking with your money, then y'all crazy. When he started fucking with the health care, and now he's fucking with people's lives. Literally, he's not even giving the help that's needed to change anything. I'm like, how you like, oh, we're gonna quarantine stuff. I'm like, you do know you made this worse, right?
And he said he wants the shit to be open by Easter. He wants like the country to be like off lockdown by Easter. Like, bitch, get the fuck out. Nobody agreed with that shit. And there's like his health, when he made that shit, there's like a little clip. His health secretary is standing by, just like,
Nigga tripping.
he's like, oh
Exactly.
my god. And that's your health advisor. You
That's
gave him that
your
job,
health
and he don't agree with you.
You know it's worse when your team can't even stand behind you. Like, this nigga tripping today. We're gonna have to tell him that when we get off stage. That ain't gonna work.
You
We're
see
not
my
gonna
ass.
cut him off. We're gonna tell him when we get off stage. Hey, bro, that ain't gonna work. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my god, dude. But
Trump. He's
But yeah.
a character, bro.
and just to like really go through the gravity situation, I'm gonna open up that link where it shows all the previous pandemics and shit in comparison to COVID.
This is my favorite
And
part,
this-
bro.
And just to be clear for everybody, these stats are for COVID-19, like they're way off now because this article
Yeah.
came out like almost half a month ago. So it's like but we're gonna be comparing the numbers between the Google Map. So it shows how many people have it in the world from Google Map versus obviously past outbreaks. Those numbers don't change. So we just compare and contrast. And let's see. The most biggest aren't somewhat capable. We're not very capable.